Very good afternoon to all the participants. Kindly bear with me, having a little bad throat today, but I think I'll be able to do justice with the topic. So, thank you for joining. So, friends, when I think one of the most often used terms after this pandemic was the term new normal. And the new normal in education, I think it is the increased use of online learning tools. The COVID-19 pandemic has triggered new ways of learning all around the world. I think now educational institutions are looking towards online learning platforms to continue with the process of educating the students. And this new normal now is a transformed concept of education with online learning at the core of this transformation. See, today digital learning has emerged as a necessary resource for the students and institutions all over the world. For many educational institutions, this is an entirely new way of education that they had to adopt. Online learning is now applicable not just to learn the academics, but it also extends to learning extracurricular activities for the students as well. And in the recent years, especially after this pandemic, the demand for online learning has grown significantly, and it will continue doing so in the future also. So in my presentation, I'll be talking about what exactly is online learning, what is the difference between the traditional and this modern education system, why this online learning, and what are the elements of effective online learning environment, and what are the characteristics of the modern learner, and especially this in this digital era of 21st century generation who is more tech savvy. What are the characteristics of my learner today? What are the needs of my learner today? And then finally, advantages and disadvantages of online learning. See, I will start with the central purpose of any educational institutions or any educational endeavor or a program is to promote learning amongst the learners. I think that is the basic objective of any educational programs, that my students should learn out of that program. See, learners who join the technical institutions either with 10 plus or 10 plus 2 qualifications, I think they already bring with them an acquired set of knowledge, skills, and attitudes as a result of their prior formal or informal training. And in the instructional process at our institutions, we provide various resources and the learning environment to the students so that they can come out of the institutions with a changed set of knowledge, skills, and attitudes brought about as a result of learning experiences provided to them by the teacher during the course of instruction in the class. And the purpose is to bring a desirable change in the behavior of the students. And in the educational terms, especially, this learning is change in knowledge, skills, and attitudes of the students. And if we do not understand the needs of our learners, I think very little learning will take place. So, what exactly is the learning? I think it is the process of gaining new knowledge or a skill, and it must include the retention of newly acquired capability or the behavior so that it can be displayed at some future time. I think this is what the learning is, that whatever the students learn at the institutions, he or she should be able to apply that knowledge whenever the opportunity is there. So any information perceived by the individual has to be retained for a longer period of time if it has to be used for solving a problem in a new situation. That means he is able to transfer that learning to solve the problem, means the knowledge and the skills gained at the institute, he or she is able to apply that at workplace. And this becomes possible only when the individual is able to retrieve the relevant information from his memory storage. So learning is a very dynamic and an active process. It is purposeful. They come with a purpose to the institutions that they want to acquire a degree. It is goal oriented. It prepares an individual for any adjustment and adaptation that may be necessary in life. And e-learning or the online learning can be defined as any learning type that occurs through the online channels. And then, if this is the definition of the learning, so what is teaching then? Anybody would like to reply? In this teaching learning process, we use two terms, no? Teaching, learning. I have given you the definition of learning. Then what is teaching then? Yes, you all are teachers. What is teaching then? Yes, please. I think I would like to participants to respond, please. There's a very small group. Otherwise, though, it will be only one-way communication. I'm just only speaking and you people are listening. Please respond. You all are teacher. What is teaching then? Anyhow, if you don't want to interact. See, teaching is a combination of teacher and student activities supported by the best available resources to produce an atmosphere where learning can take place. And the learning becomes more interesting if the learner enjoys the process of learning, which can be achieved through teaching. So what is teaching then? Teaching is the combination of teacher and student activities supported by the best available resources, meeting to the need of the present day requirement and to produce an atmosphere where learning can take place. In teaching learning process, teaching is effective only if the learning has taken place. If learning has not taken place, teaching has no meaning. So therefore, learning is more important than teaching. In teaching learning process, the role of teacher is very important so as to provide or create an environment where the maximum learning takes place. And how best the curriculum and the resources you have, unless until you are not able to use those resources in an effective way, I think you will not be able to get the desired outcome which you are aspiring from your teaching learning process. So teaching is a very complex process because there are students with different learning styles in the class. Some are slow learners, some are fast learners, some learners learn through only lectures, some through visual presentation, and some through demonstration, some through hands-on experience that is learned by doing, and so on. And the teacher has to meet all those styles of learning of his or her students. So, part of your responsibility as a teacher, as an educator, is to adjust your lessons to the unique group of students who are working with at any given point of time. And the best teachers can cater to each student's strengths, ensuring they are truly grasping the information. Because today knowledge is, I think, available at the click of a button. They can get ocean of knowledge from the internet, and the role of teacher is not just to pass the knowledge to the students through his or her lectures, but to facilitate the process of learning and to provide guidance and create interest and inspiration in the student so that the student cultivates self-reliance in the learning process. Teacher should realize that the whole purpose of teaching is to help students becoming his or her own teacher, the self-directed learner. So for a teacher, it becomes important to know what are those learning style of the students so that the content can be appropriately delivered as per the need of the learner. So you have to design your instruction accordingly. As a teacher, whenever you have to plan a lesson, one should know what are the characteristics and the learning styles of my students, what is their prior learning level, because they already have learnt many things before coming to the institution also, and what are the present day requirements to make his or her teaching more effectively, especially in online environment. But problem with the present education system is that we offer same path to all the students irrespective of individual style of learning. But remember, there is no one size that fits all when it comes to how you comprehend the information. Everyone is different. We all experience the world in unique ways, and that with that comes variation in the ways we learn best. So understanding these different styles of learning can drastically impact the way teachers handle their students, set up the group projects, and adapt the individual learning. So without understanding and acknowledging these different ways of learning, teachers might end up with a handful of students who are lagging behind their classmates because their unique learning style has not been activated. So, what are those learning styles? Learning styles are approaches or ways of learning, because individuals, every student is different. It's a good idea for the teachers to develop classroom strategies that incorporate different learning styles for different type of learners. Some students learn by seeing the things, some by hearing the content. Some people are reflecting learners, some people are acting learner, some people understand by reasoning logically and intuitively, analyzing the things and visualizing. So most people are predominantly one type of learner, but usually they can adopt to another style also depending upon the type of the content and the situation. Learners do tend to look for their preferred style of learning in each learning situation because they associate that style with the learning success. So a course that provides learning experiences for a variety of learning styles will increase the likelihood of learners' success in the course. And the fortunate enough, these days, all those tools are available with the teacher with which he or she can meet all those learning styles. So, what are the different types of learning styles? It is given as a VARK model, VARK, and the word itself says V is for visual learners, A auditory learners, R is reading and writing learners, K is the kinesthetic learners. So this VARK model helps teachers to learn about this. It is work is focused on the idea that students retain and process information differently and have different learning modes that allow them to learn their best. So, allowing students to access information in terms they are comfortable with, I think, will increase their academic confidence. While everyone uses a combination of learning styles, but mostly they have a clear preference for one. So let's go briefly by what are these learning styles. The first one is your visual learning styles. Visual learners learn best from the visual images. They, when the information is presented in visual formats, like the books, web pages, pictures, charts, graphics, images, demonstrations, videos, diagrams, etc. They process the new information best when it is visually illustrated or demonstrated. So someone with the visual learning style has a preference for seen or observed things, including pictures, maps, displays, flip chart. So visual learners absorb information best when they can see the things, then so that they can visualize the relationships between the ideas. So using images to explain concepts and ideas is the best way to reach a visual learner. One way teachers can design their instruction for visual learners is by using graphic organizers to teach a lesson. A flow chart might be used to explain a scientific process, for example. The second type of learners are the auditory learners. Process new information best when spoken to them. For example, your lectures or your oral readings from the book or the audio recordings of the expert lectures. So, auditory learners are all ears. Auditory learners process new information best when it is spoken to them. They tend to prefer listening to information rather than reading it or seeing it visually displayed. So, when it comes to studying, an auditory learner might remember materials best if they talk about it, discuss about the things with someone else, maybe with the teachers or maybe with their classmates, since it will be easier for them to recall a conversation than a visual image of words on a page. They are able to recall the information when they discuss it with the other people. So these type of learners benefit from lectures, group discussions, and other strategies that involve talking things through. To help auditory learners, teachers can post audio recordings of lessons on the class website or incorporate group activities that require students to explain the concepts to their classmates. The third type of learners are the reading and writing learners. So, while there is a little overlap with the visual learning, reading and writing, because they read it from the book, these types of learners best learn through writing. Unless until they do not write, especially with the mathematical formulas or the equations, unless until we write, we are not able to retain it in our mind. So, reading articles or books, writing in the diaries, looking up words in the dictionary, and searching the internet for just about everything is the characteristic of the reading or your writing learners. They prefer to consume information by reading textbooks. The traditional college textbooks or the handouts or the PowerPoint slide presentations, I think, work well for the reading and the writing learning style of students. They comprehend and remember what they read, and they often enjoy writing to retain the information. So this modality also helps students to conducting research online, because many information rich sources on the internet are relatively text heavy documents where the students can gain. The fourth type of is the kinesthetic learners. The learners, when the information is conveyed in hands-on setting, they process information best when it can be touched or manipulated. They learn by doing. The hands-on activities and the real-life experiences help them remember the things. So kinesthetic learners are the most hands-on learning type, uh, especially while working in the laboratories and the workshops. They do best when they can participate in the activities or solve the problems in a hands-on manner. So someone with the kinesthetic learning style has a preference for physical experience, practical hands-on experiences in the laboratories and the workshops. They will be best able to perform a new task by trying out with the things. So these are the four type of learning styles. So now the next question is, what is the need for understanding my learner? See, individuals, as I said, perceive, interpret, and evaluate the same learning event in different ways. No individuals are alike. There are differences with respect to their prior experiences, their intelligence level, the type of personality they are, their cognitive abilities, their self concept, and some things depending upon the age, like the difference between the adult learning and the youth learning. Some things are more depend upon the gender based also, though it may not be every time correct, but it is usually said that the subject like mathematics, the boys do better than the girls. And in other words, individuals different from each other in their physical, social, cognitive, and emotional aspects. So, an understanding of individual differences among learners will enable the teacher to provide or create relevant and appropriate learning experiences to student in order to produce the desired learning. So what are the two different types of learning? See, one is the reception learning, where the entire content of what is to be learned is presented to the learner in the final form, which is actually happen in the traditional classroom setting. The learning does not involve any independent discovery on the part of the students. I think we all experienced this thing. There are usually two extremes in the teaching practices. One is giving extensive notes in the classroom and assessing the students on the basis of reproducing from such notes in the examinations. Sometimes I think students have liking to this approach, as they need not spend time on shuffling through the books for materials on the subject. They have ready-made notes with them, and this approach deprives the student from developing a measure of self-reliance in the learning process. And the second approach is highly disorganized teaching, in which the teacher leaves almost everything to the student, often skipping most of his classroom sessions. And the result is that the student, particularly the average and the below average one, suffers from the lack of direction. We usually see that these two type of practices are being followed by the teachers. The truth for the good teaching lies somewhere in between the two: special guidance to the below average students and the special assignments to the above average students. And the second type of approach is the discovery learning. The whole content of what is to be learned is not given to the learner, but it is discovered by the learner before he or she can incorporate it meaningfully into his or her cognitive structures. So this approach, the discovery learning, is important in today's scenario to promote self-learning, to cultivate self-reliance in the learning process. For example, problem-based learning, project-based, and group-based learning. Everything should not be provided ready-made to the students. Give them the basic fundamentals of the theory. As soon as the subject advances, break it into small topics, make a group of 3 4 students and give that topic to the students, and ask them to solve that problem, come out with the presentation. I think they will be more creative, more innovative while doing all this. So in present scenario, the more focus is on discovery learning. So if you will see, the first approach is totally the teacher centered approach, and the second, discovery learning, is the totally student centered approach. I will talk more about this. See, this is the difference between the traditional education and the modern education. The one I have shown you, that the teacher centered approach and the student centered approach. So traditional education जो हमारी है is teacher centered. The learning objective is usually the transfer of knowledge, information, or skill from the teacher to the students. One way transfer of the knowledge. Learner is almost passive in the class. It is more like a theoretical information providing to the students. The teachers more or less controls the material to be learned, controls the material which is provided to the students, and also the pace of learning while presenting the course content to the students. It focuses more on memorizing the assignments word by word. The purpose of learning is to acquire and memorize new knowledge or learn new skills. So traditional education methods rely heavily on replication based assessment in the practical and the written exams as well. Whatever has been taught, only that will be assessed during the examination. So we all, I think, have been educated in this teacher-centering classroom only, a system where the teacher is on the upfront and the students are seated in nice, neat rows, listening to the lectures, taking word by word notes from the class. So this system has been, and to some extent, I think, still forms the core of our education system. Institutions have relied on it for decades and have only recently undergone major changes. On the other side, the modern education is the more learner centered, means the students learn best not only by receiving knowledge but also by interpreting it, learning through discovery, while also setting the pace of their own learning. Teachers only act as a coach, as a mentor to the students to facilitate the learning process, designing experiences through which students acquire new knowledge and develop new skills. So, living in this 21st century, I think technology now has become an integral part of our everyday lives. None of us can deny that it has brought about a complete overhauling of our world and, more importantly, of our educational system. From chalkboards to whiteboards and now to smart boards, technology has become our main source of research, knowledge, and teaching. We can see how it is replacing the traditional methods of teaching. Teaching styles have changed significantly over the years because modern education involves interactive methods for effective learning. Modern education is significantly emphasizing more on use of educational technology in the classroom. It focuses more on the students' needs rather than assuming that all the students are at the same level of understanding. It is actively based, comprising of questioning, explaining, demonstration, and collaborative techniques. So, this form of education teaches imaginative, creative thinking, and visualization by the students. So, online education has become an essential part of the learning process and pedagogy in this modern age, offering an immense scope of learning anything, anytime, and anywhere. The internet has become a vast pool of knowledge, welcoming people of all ages to furnish their skills and expand their expertise in different fields of study. And also the evaluation, apart from the approach to teaching and learning, another unique aspect of modern education is the introduction of the grading system that focuses on providing students with certain grades rather than marks to eliminate the quantification of students' knowledge about a subject. While marks were the major element of assessment in traditional education, modern education has brought forward a grading system which is a better way to provide students with an overview of their knowledge and understanding of different subjects. With this advanced marking pattern, students are, I think, relieved from the scoring pressure, and teachers also able to highlight the areas where a students needs to work more on, where they can focus on helping the students perform better. No pressure of marks, it is only the grading that to what extent the student has acquired the knowledge and skill in that particular area, and what are the areas where he or she can improve upon. And see how the online learning evolution has taken place. Earlier, past में क्या था? It was जो online learning थी 1.0, which we call it as websites. When we first started using the internet, online learning meant a series of web pages for us, PDFs only, and disjointed videos maybe, which we can see on the internet. This was the online learning 1.0 structure. Basically consisted of those left hand navigation menus. Learners could only download the relevant materials and there were no analytics. But with the passage of time, recently it is 2.0 basic online courses. So over the past few years, we have seen the rise of learning management systems or the teaching learning platforms. These platforms enable the courses with more structure that can be offered to a larger audience. They allow course creators to easily offer a course online, like MOOCs. And offshoot of this, the massive open online courses have also taken off. But even these take a traditional classroom approach. Lectures in the form of videos, usually with the multiple choice assessments, the flow is linear. Again, similar to classroom learning. These courses also includes some basic analytics. While these online talking head courses have allowed learning and development groups to expand their reach beyond the physical classrooms, but they are still not a great way for people to learn. First and foremost, let's be honest, they tend to be really boring. You have to hear for 1 hour the lecture or seeing the same video. So besides being boring, I think online learning 2.0 courses are not great at teaching real world application. Talking head courses take a very generic approach. So due to the dependence on off the shelf learning management system software, organizations cannot easily tailor or digital experience to create a unique learning environment best suited for a particular domain or personalized to the learner's specific needs. Classrooms allowed for blending online materials with projects accompanied by the teachers who could assist with real world application. But online learning 2.0 does not do this well. So it's much like a PowerPoint. A learning management system allows for an easy way to think about and produce a course. Outline a course, create some scripts, shoot some video, upload the related text and assessments, and watch the completion activity. Simple and straightforward, but still a lot of work, though it is a straightforward. But there are organizations today who are starting to figure out how to move beyond those talking head videos, multiple choice course. That is where online learning 3.0 comes in. Online 3.0 learning is just a constituent of smart education, which is utilizing technology to facilitate an interactive process of teaching and learning. Now, this type of learning is more interactive between the teacher and the students. The importance of technology, use of augmented reality or the virtual reality tools, AR and VR tools in education is imperative today. And you can learn anything and anywhere just with the help of a functioning network connection and maybe your smartphone tab or a computer. It is an evolution to a student-centered world now. It leverages advances in use of educational technology and tools to make learning faster, more effective, more enjoyable, and applicable to larger set of learning areas. It is more visually engaging, it is more personalized, more graphical and pictorial presentations instead of a list of materials to get through. It is more like a learn by doing. By sitting in the classroom, you can have the experience of flying a plane, let us say, with those kind of simulated experiments. So next, why online learning? See, online learning is the future of education. Online learning has been on the rise in recent years, largely due to the convenience, cost, and accessibility the system offers as compared to the traditional learning. So, this growth has only been accelerated after, especially the pandemic that forced down the shutters of university and institutions worldwide. So these are some of the factors that why online learning is must these days, because it offers convenience and flexibility. Online learning offers convenience and flexibility in timings and also the pace of learning, allowing you to learn in your own time, at your own pace. Many online courses have strict timings and deadlines only for the submissions. So those looking to brush up on their skills can use tutorials and videos to have the best of both worlds. High quality student teacher interactions. Online learning allows for better quality interactions between the students and the tutors. This is because tutors have various teaching methods at their disposal. Also, they can focus on individual students a lot more than they would in the traditional classroom. Most online courses that rely on live streaming have a cap on the number of students who can enroll, ensuring that each student gets adequate attention and advice from their tutor. More students can enroll at once. Online learning classes that depend on pre-recorded videos and tests can have an unlimited number of students enrolling. So many popular courses today have thousands of students simultaneously enrolled, and since there is no need for physical classroom and seats, more students can enroll in a single course at once. Web-based learning will grow in popularity, though we are returning to the physical mode of classes, but it is expected that web-based learning will be the part of our education system for all the times to come. I think UGC has already come up with that 40-60 ratio has been suggested by them, especially for the higher education, that in all 40% can be at the on campus, where the students can come for the practical classes. The rest 60% theoretical content will be provided through online mode. So web-based learning includes a variety of setups, including live streaming, videos on demand, seminars, webinars, talk shows, interviews. So regardless of what mode is chosen by the communicator, the convenience and the flexibility of web-based learning will make it more popular in the years to come. Better learning experiences. You cannot have each and every equipment at the institutions because of the fast changes taking place in industries. So given that students are allowed to learn at their own pace and encouraged to gain hands-on experiencing over memorizing the textbooks, online learning can offer a better learning experience. It also helps the students can attend the classes from the places they are comfortable being in, which makes them more likely to approach learning with a positive attitude. The lack of pressure from long distances, commutes, class timings, and personal schedules leave the students with more energy to attend the online classes. It is more cost effective. Online learning is priced lower than the traditional university courses these days and is also worth the cost. The fees often do not account for the accommodation, textbooks, equipment, transport, and other factors that contribute to the full learning experience in the traditional setting. So, because of this, wider audience has access to the universities and the courses that were once meant for those with higher budgets only. So now every student can afford to undergo that advanced course. Retention rates are higher. I think I do not know, but research has shown that retention rates are higher in online learning than in the traditional university courses. This is likely due to decrease in the stressors and pressures otherwise present in the traditional schooling system, the peer pressure. Students are allowed to learn and practice at their own pace. Their course material is also available with them for a lifetime, so they can read those materials as per their convenience in case they want to come back and refresh their skills. So these are some of the main traits that define the modern learner. Because of the evolution of digital technology has created a new world of learning, and as a result the expectations and the needs of today's learners have also changed. The first one is that they are easily distracted. With millions of apps, websites, and videos available, students are interrupted as frequently, I think, as every 5 minutes. So So today's learners are extremely distracted, and there is a technology addiction amongst the students. The modern learner unlocks their smartphone, I think, every minute. So with so much of information competing for their attention, it can be difficult to focus. The average adult, I think, has an attention span of only 20 minutes in classroom lectures. So being bombarded with so much instructional material, learners can be quickly overwhelmed. They simply do not have the space of mind to consume it. So it is important that your learning program be engaging your learners every step of the way. Otherwise, if it is a traditional type of text material is provided to them, and we say that online lectures are provided to them, I think they will be very easily distracted and will not be able to enjoy the learning experience. They are very impatient. They just want to learn very fast. Modern learners want information at the speed of a click of a button. They also have high expectations about the content. They want it to be personalized, they want it to be immediate, and they also want a quality information. So due to the wealth of learning materials available online, instructional designers now only have between 5 to 10 seconds to grab their learners' attention before they click away. So, a lot of research has been carried out to find methods to meet the needs of this overwhelmed, easily distracted, and impatient learners. Next, collaborators and social learners. Modern learners are flooded by digital apps, frequent social platforms, and learn through collaboration. Modern learners share and receive shared ideas and feedback from others within the group. They have shown that they process information more deeply and thoroughly when they share it with each other. They enjoy participating in social learning activities, in group based activities, and often find learning from others to be highly beneficial. Reading other people's responses helps them to understand and process the information and events more quickly. They build and access personal and professional networks to obtain information about their subject. Learners also engage in the material more deeply when they are allowed the opportunity to discuss the content with others in their group. They are more independent learners these days. Modern learners operate within a highly competitive environment now. Job openings are visible to all. Each opening receives hundreds of applications, and as such, the modern learner is self-motivated. When they know on the website of the employers the kind of skill profile they need, they are aware of this. So they sometimes take independent action to undergo that course which will enhance their employability. And research also shows that they are keen to shape up their own future, establish their own identity, and be unique fit, be that professionally or maybe through the hobbies. So generally they want to improve their job performance or fill a recently identified skill gap. When it comes to learning, they will often take the initiative themselves. Learners are overwhelmed than ever. They're also more empowered to learn than ever. They know that many of their professional skills become obsolete fast, and they are looking to replace and stay on the top of their skill sets in whatever way possible. They are thirsty for knowledge. With the need for independence and performance, the modern learner is thirsty for knowledge, curious to know many things. Satisfying their curiosity has never been easier than today. This encourages the modern learner to be ever more curious to know each and everything. They can learn what they want as per their interests. So teacher will need to increase the number of learning events. They will also need to provide learning content in a range of different formats. This will ensure that the full spectrum and the complexity of modern learners' needs are satisfied. On the move, I mean, modern learners use technology to access learning opportunities whenever they need them. Smartphones have become the go to way of accessing information from any location. Modern learners often to choose to learn away from their location, perhaps maybe while they are commuting or their lunch break or while sitting in the waiting lounge. They can become frustrated when they cannot access the training from their phones or the tablets. So with the training that is informative and automatically adapts to their mobile devices and is easy to navigate, learners get more interested to learn. So finally, I will say understanding the modern learner empowers you to create meaningful learning experiences for your students. You can only satisfy their needs once you have a clear vision of what those needs are. So keeping these characteristics in mind, it is important that you are providing a learning program that caters to these needs and expectations. So next, coming to 5 essential elements of effective e-learning. See, you recall a course or in your college that has made a lasting impact on you. What was so unique about it? Was it because it was very useful, or was it because the teacher was very good, or did the interaction with the peers make it meaningful? If you really think about it, I think you will identify certain elements that make any learning experience memorable, useful, and enjoyable. Here are just a few elements which are motivation of the learner. The more learners are motivated, the more they will learn. When they find a reason or a purpose for learning, I think they will be more motivated. So you need to appeal to the learners motivation and make it clear from the beginning what they must accomplish upon completion of a course. We need to lay this out in the learning objectives, and remember that these learning objectives are performance based. The conditions in which the performance takes place needs to be present as much as possible. The course should satisfy the needs of the learners. If they are convinced that whatever they are gaining in the class, they will be able to apply in their workplace. They need to know where they are going to use this knowledge and how. I think this is the motivation. This is the key to the motivation to enhance their learning. Student will be willing to learn. Otherwise, I think no amount of persuasion will help if the student considers that something is being thrust upon him or her. He or she doesn't know that why I am studying a particular topic. So the idea is that you should be able to relate it with the real life examples. The second is the right stimulus. Maybe it is in the form of the knowledge, skills, or attitudes. See, learning begins with the presentation of a stimulus. You provide something to the students from where they learn. So any stimulus or this set of stimuli to which the learner is sensitive can become a part of learning situation. More learning is likely to take place if the learning situation is rich in the potential stimulation. Stimulation Stimulus should be presented in an engaging and interactive manner. Maybe it is your classroom lectures, or maybe you are giving them certain exercises. They should be able to engage themselves with that kind of material which you present them. You need to ensure that they engage with it, participate in the activities, and complete it. So different audiences require different teaching approaches. For example, teaching adults, or teaching children, or teaching factory workers, office staff, or maybe the present tech savvy generation, they require appropriate approaches. There is no single best way. Likewise, different subjects also respond better to different teaching methodologies. We do not teach the mathematics the same way we teach the philosophy. So right kind of stimulus, the learning experience should be provided to the students so that the maximum learning takes place. Next is the opportunities to test your learning, means the application of learning. So we need to ensure that the course provides ample opportunities for the learners to apply whatever they have learned. This can be done maybe through, let us say, formative assessment. There is a variety of assessment tools to choose from. Maybe you can give them multiple choice questions or games or puzzles or some kind of quiz, or can be discussions can be held on that particular topic during the class, so that you should know that whatever you have taught them, they are able to apply, they are able to analyze that material. So formative assessment ideally are placed immediately after the learner completes a specific learning objective or sub-objective. Next is the feedback on the performance is must. Learning needs reinforcement. In a face-to-face training session, the trainer may ask the questions and initiate discussions or interactions to reinforce the learning. And in the case of maybe online courses, reinforcement can be provided with the help of feedback given to the formative assessments in the course. The feedback should be, I think, both for right and wrong responses. It is still better to withhold feedback in the case of wrong answers until after giving the learner another chance to get it right. I think this will make the learner stretch a little bit before the right answer is provided. So online tools are available to provide quick feedback to the students while teaching them in the class. Immediately you can provide them the feedback by having certain kind of tool which you can use for evaluation. Rewards for mastering the subject by passing a final examination. Rewards of learning are as essential as any other element of successful learning. So, if properly rewarded, learners' motivation to learn more increases, and so will their openness to try whatever they have learned. So, what is the reward the individual gets on completion of the course? It could be a certificate, it could be some kind of recommendation, or it could be a small merit badge, or but getting rewarded in one form or the other is very critical to effective learning. So keeping the key elements in mind helps us to develop a course that successfully delivers on its objectives. So the first and more foremost important is the motivation of the learner. Learner should know why I am learning this. So I will discuss some of the techniques how you can help motivate your online learners. See, there are two parts to creating effective online learning. The first part is building out your course with the right content, and the second part is getting your online learners to engage with the materials. These two things are important, and it is a lot easier to share new information and skill with the students who is excited to learn. When online learners are motivated to acquire new knowledge and skills, they can improve their performance, and these are some of the techniques you can use to help motivate your online learning. They include compelling media. See, when learners start your online training and discover the images, videos, and other media, I think they will be more engaged than if they see endless lines of text material only. Video, in particular, is great for conveying the emotions and the context. Video animated graphics and other multimedia are also useful for demonstrating a process in action. So this is very important that you include the different types of medias to motivate your learners, to engage them in the learners. Use the variety of techniques, variety of materials to in your classroom teaching. Make your training interactive. Otherwise the students online classes may they will just sleep off. You will have to make it interactive. Maybe you can ask a question in between after 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or maybe can give a small exercise on the topic which you have covered in your class. So give your students something tangible to engage with during the training. For example, clickable buttons can be given, that now you click the button and go to that exercise. And other interactive activities can help draw the learners into the experience so that they spend more time going through your course. Challenging your learners. This is also very important. Give them a challenge time to time about the topic. Include activities in your online training that test the learners' understanding of the content. Make these activities challenging enough that your student really has to pay attention to your course content. A few activities that are great for challenging learners include, let us say, the sorting activities, and let them prioritize and organize the information, scenarios that allow them to apply their knowledge to the real world situations, and the knowledge checks and quizzes that measure how well they can apply what they have learned. Give online um, learners control. So allow your students to take control of their online training experience. Present them with a number of options and let them decide which to take based on their interest or the skill level. You can set up a learning path with the help of continuous assessment that give your learners a sense of control over their progress. A learning path provides them a guided experience, drawing them into your content in small portions, and they can easily absorb. After all, what could be more motivating than being given achievable milestones as well as learning that can be applied on the job immediately? Provide feedback throughout the training. See, the purpose of training is to help giving your students feedback on specific tasks, help them gauge their progress, and motivates them to meet their goals. For example, when learners select a correct answer in the quiz, include an encouraging response that emphasizes how well they did on the task at hand, like good job, or you handled that tricky situation very well. It is also helpful to explain why their answer was correct or incorrect, so they get a deeper understanding of the material. Give learners an enjoyable learning experience. Learners have become accustomed to many consumer apps such as Netflix or Airbnb or maybe the other shopping sites. They can, I think, spend hours and hours together on those sites. Why? So when it becomes to online learning, learners also expect that same enjoyable experience. Learners can quickly lose their motivation when they are faced with the training that feels outdated or when their progress is not clear. So if you want to keep your learners motivated, give them an enjoyable learning experience using a combination of these techniques. You can get your students really excited about learning new skills. That helps you make the most out of your training courses and ensure they have a greater impact. In fact, a positive learning experience creates a desire in the learners to seek out more training. They are more likely to apply the training and do better at their jobs. So finally, coming to, so as with almost all the teaching methods, online learning also has its own set of positives and negatives. So understanding these positive and negatives will help institutions in creating strategies for more efficiently delivering the lessons, ensuring an uninterrupted learning journey for the students. Some of the advantages of the online learning is, one is the efficiency. Online learning offers teachers an efficient way to deliver lessons to the students. Online learning has a number of tools such as videos, PDFs, podcasts. Teachers can use all these tools as a part of their lesson plans. By extending the lesson plan beyond the traditional textbooks to include online resources, teachers are able to become more efficient educators. Accessibility of time and space. Another advantage of online education is that it allows students to attend classes from any location of their choice. It also allows institutions to reach out to a more extensive network of students instead of being restricted by the geographical boundaries. Additionally, online lectures can be recorded and shared for future reference. This allows students to access the learning material at the time of their comfort. So, online learning offers students the accessibility of time and place in education. Affordability. Another advantage of online learning is reduced financial costs. Online education is far more affordable as compared to the physical learning, especially when the students have to go abroad for the higher education. This is because online learning eliminates the cost points of students' transportation, students' meals, and most important is their accommodation. Additionally, all the courses or the study materials are available online, thus creating a paperless learning environment which is more affordable, which also being beneficial to the environment. Improved student attendance. Since online classes can be taken from home or the location of choice, there are fewer chances of students missing out on those lessons. It suits a variety of learning styles. Every student, as I said, has a different learning journey and has a different learning style. Some students are visual learners, while some prefer to learn through the audio. Similarly, some students thrive in the classroom. The other students are the solo learners, self learners who get distracted by large groups. So, online learning system with its range of options and resources can be personalized in many ways. It is the best way to create a perfect learning environment suited to the needs of each student. And some of the disadvantages of the online learning are inability to focus on screens. For many students, one of the biggest challenges of online learning is they struggle with focusing on the screen for longer periods of time. With online learning, there's also a greater chance for the students to be easily distracted by the social media or the other sites. Therefore, it is for the teachers to keep their online classes crisp, engaging, and interactive to help students stay focused on the lesson. Technology issues, of course, yes. This is another key challenge for the online classes is the internet connectivity. While internet penetration has grown, but over the past few years, but in smaller cities and towns, consistent connection with the decent speed, I think, is a problem. Without a consistent internet connection for students or teachers, there can be lack of continuity in learning for the students. So this is detrimental to the education process. Sense of isolation. Students can learn a lot from being in the company of their peer group. However, in an online class, there are minimal physical interaction between the students and the teachers. This often results in a sense of isolation for the students. In this situation, it is important that institute allows for other forms of communication between the students, peers, and the teachers. This can include maybe the online messages, emails, video conferencing that will allow for face-to-face interaction and reduce the sense of isolation. Teacher training. Online learning requires teachers also to have a basic understanding of using all those digital forms of learning. This is not the case always. Very often, teachers have a very basic understanding of technology. Sometimes they do not even have the necessary resources and tools to conduct the online classes. So, to meet this, it is important for the institutions to invest in the training of teachers with the latest technology updates so that they can conduct their online classes smoothly. Manage screen time. Many parents are concerned about the health hazards of having their children spend so many hours staring at the screen. This increase in screen time, I think, is one of the biggest concerns and disadvantage of the online learning. Sometimes students also develop bad posture and other physical problems due to staying hunched in front of a screen. But a good solution to this, I will say, to give the students plenty of breaks from the screen to refresh their mind and their body. So, finally, coming to the end, I will say in online learning will not be phased out anytime soon. E-learning becomes more viable and accessible as the number of individuals who own computers and mobile phones grows around the world. Internet connection speeds are improving, allowing for more multimedia training methods to be used. So when we consider the learning preferences of our present generation, each of their learning styles can be accommodated and can be met through an e-learning platform, high quality multimedia content, various modes of assessment, gamification, and virtually immersive experience. As always, I think learning is about engaging your learner. So, with these words, I thank you all for very patient listening.